Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're looking into the power of thoughts and beliefs.
So yeah,
How they shape our world from both a spiritual and a scientific angle.
absolutely a fascinating intersection.
And we've got some awesome material to dig into today.
We do.
Excerpts from Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard
Okay.
and Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief.
Yeah.
Think of this deep dive as like a crash course
Right.
in how our inner world
It is.
creates our experiences.
Yeah.
So let's start with Neville Goddard.
Yeah.
This guy was all about the power of feeling.
He was. And he wasn't talking about like fleeting emotions, but
Yeah.
more about like
Yeah.
consciously choosing
Mm-hmm.
and cultivating those positive feelings.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he said,
Okay.
never entertain an undesirable feeling,
Wow.
nor think sympathetically about wrong in any shape or form.
Okay.
Do not dwell on the imperfection of yourself or others. That's a big one.
That's a bold statement, right?
It is, yeah.
And it kind of gets to the heart of his whole philosophy.
Yeah,
Goddard believed that dwelling on negativity,
right.
even for a moment, imprints limitations on the subconscious mind.
It's interesting because it's not just about, like,
So it's not just positive vibes only,
Yeah.
but understanding the
That's-
potential consequences of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's actual consequences to negativity.
Negativity, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm being negative, but whatever.
Yeah, really understanding the weight of that.
The weight of it and
Yeah.
the power that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
recognizing that our thoughts and feelings have a creative power.
Yes.
And Goddard believed
Uh-huh.
that to manifest our desires, we need to
Yeah.
truly embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, like really embody it. And dwelling on obstacles, he argued, only strengthens their hold on us.
Yeah.
Now, Goddard used this analogy
Okay.
of the conscious and subconscious minds
Right.
as husband and wife,
Okay.
with the subconscious faithfully
Yeah.
reproducing the likeness
Interesting.
of the conscious mind's thoughts.
Okay.
So I'm curious, like,
Yeah.
how does this idea of like
Uh-huh.
impressing the subconscious,
Yeah.
what mechanisms did he propose?
Well, he believed that the subconscious mind,
Okay.
it doesn't argue or analyze.
Okay.
It just
It's just like a sponge.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
It receives it.
trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's just,
Interesting.
it accepts what the conscious mind
Okay.
presents as true.
So by repeatedly.
Right. So by
Yeah.
feeling a certain way,
Okay.
by repeatedly
Got it.
experiencing a feeling,
Right.
even if it's in our imagination,
I like this thing.
we impress it upon the subconscious,
Uh-huh.
and then that works.
So it's like practice.
To manifest it
Yeah.
in our reality.
Yeah, like we're practicing the feeling,
Yeah,
even if the outer circumstances aren't there yet.
exactly. It's like training our inner world
Okay.
to align with
Got it.
our desired outcomes.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
a pretty powerful concept.
it is.
But
Yeah.
how does this tie into Bruce Lipton's
Okay.
scientific perspective?
Yeah.
Because his work explores
So Lipton's
Yeah.
research in cellular biology
how our beliefs
challenged the long-held belief
yeah,
in genetic determinism.
impact us on like a cellular level, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The idea that our genes
Okay.
dictate our destiny.
Yeah. So he uncovered evidence that
Just puppets of our DNA.
environmental factors,
Okay.
including our thoughts and beliefs,
More to the story.
can actually modify
There is.
gene expression.
Okay.
So it's not about changing the genes themselves,
Okay.
but how they function.
So the genes are like,
A library of possibilities.
that's a great way to put it.
And then the environment helps determine which book
Yeah.
gets opened.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And he calls this
Yeah.
epigenetics,
Okay.
the study of how environmental signals
Got it.
control gene activity.
So both Goddard and Lipton
Right.
are pointing to the power of our inner world
There?
to shape our outer reality.
Yeah.
But how much control do we really have? Because,
That's true, but we have more influence
there's a lot happening around us
than we often realize.
that we can't control.
Yeah.
Like.
Let's look at a fascinating example.
Yeah.
The placebo effect.
Okay.
We've probably heard of it.
Yes.
Where a fake treatment, like a sugar pill,
But isn't that just usually with
can produce real effect?
like more minor things?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Research has shown the placebo effect's influence
Interesting.
in a range of conditions,
Oh, that's
even impacting surgical outcomes. For example, Dr. Bruce Mosley
Okay.
conducted a study on knee pain,
Okay.
where some patients
Yeah.
received sham surgery.
Oh, wow.
The results showed significant pain relief.
Yeah.
Even in those
It's really the mind-body
who didn't have actual surgical repair.
connection.
Right.
Yeah.
It highlights that mind-body connection.
But how does Lipton's
Right.
cell membrane analogy explain this phenomena?
Well, Lipton describes integral membrane proteins
So is our belief
within the cell membrane
somehow sending signals
as perception switches.
to our cells?
They link external stimuli
Okay.
to cellular responses.
So if we believe we'll experience pain relief,
He believes that our beliefs, acting as part of our environment,
are those perception switches sending signals?
influence these switches,
Will lead to actual
ultimately affecting
physiological changes?
our physical experience.
Wow.
So yes,
That's powerful.
that's what he proposes.
Yeah.
He argues that our subconscious mind,
Okay.
much like the cell membrane,
Okay.
acts as a filter,
Interesting.
interpreting information
Okay.
and shaping our experience based on our deeply held beliefs.
But what about the flip side?
So that's how the placebo effect works.
The nocebo effect,
Right.
where negative beliefs can manifest as physical symptoms.
Exactly.
Does that work through a similar mechanism?
Lipton would say that negative beliefs
Okay.
can activate those perception switches
Wow.
in a way that triggers negative physical responses.
Like sending the wrong signals
Right.
to the cells.
Think of Sam Lon,
Okay.
who died with,
Okay.
but not from esophageal cancer.
Okay.
His physician questioned
So he died with it,
whether Lon's belief
but not from it.
that he would die from cancer
Wow.
contributed to his death.
That's a sobering example.
That is a powerful example of how powerful
powerful our beliefs can be.
our beliefs can be.
Yeah, it makes you wonder
It makes you wonder how much
we might be.
we might be limiting ourselves
Yeah, limiting ourselves
without even realizing
without
it.
even realizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These examples
Yeah.
underscore the importance of becoming aware
Yeah.
of our beliefs
Of our beliefs.
and how they might be influencing
and how they might be influenced.
our experiences.
It raises the question,
Yeah.
how do we apply this awareness?
Yeah. How do we apply
Especially when it comes to
this awareness, especially
raising children.
when it comes to raising children?
Yeah.
And we were talking about conscious parenting earlier.
Right.
The idea that
And this idea
our beliefs and behaviors as parents
that our beliefs
and deeply impact
and behaviors as parents
our children's development.
can deeply impact our children's development.
It starts even before birth.
Right.
Research suggests
that prenatal
that prenatal
and early childhood experiences
and early childhood
are incredibly significant.
experiences are incredibly significant.
Wow.
Parental attitudes and behaviors.
So we're not just shaping their personalities,
During these critical periods,
but also their
can program a child's subconscious mind, shaping their perceptions and
the
behaviors
very beginning.
for years to come.
That's a big responsibility.
It is.
Wow.
We're essentially
Yeah.
helping to create the lens
Yeah.
through which
It's a lot of pressure.
they'll experience the world.
Yeah.
And research has shown
Like research has shown
that even something
as
as basic as touch
basic as touch
plays a crucial role in development.
plays a crucial role in development.
Studies link touch deprivation
Wow.
to developmental problems and even violent tendencies.
So hugs and cuddles aren't just feel-good gestures.
It seems that loving touch
They're fundamental
is essential for a child's
to healthy development.
physical, emotional, and social well-being.
But how does this connect back to like
Right.
beliefs and the subconscious mind?
Well, those early experiences, including physical touch,
Okay.
shape a child's subconscious beliefs
Okay.
about themselves
Okay.
and the world.
And the world.
A child who receives
Okay.
consistent love and nurturing
Okay.
is more likely to develop a
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
of safety and security,
Yeah.
which can impact
Yeah.
their behavior, relationships,
Yeah.
and overall well-being.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
we're imprinting
Yeah.
those early beliefs
It's like imprinting
onto their subconscious.
onto their subconscious.
Similar to how Goddard talked about impressing the subconscious mind
Yeah.
with our own thoughts and feelings.
It's like
Yeah.
setting the stage.
Setting the stage.
Sort of their
Hey,
whole
the whole.
beliefs about themselves.
Yeah, and their whole worldview.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those early experiences
So both Lipton
lay the foundation
and Goddard
for their beliefs about themselves and the world,
are converging on this idea
which then influences
that our inner world,
their perceptions and behaviors
whether shaped by our own thoughts
throughout their lives.
or early experiences,
Yeah.
has a profound impact
Yeah, it's incredible
on our outward reality.
how impactful those early experiences are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
How do we apply
That's like, where do we
these concepts
go from here?
to create positive change.
Yeah, how do we
Apply these concepts.
and for future generations?
To create
That's a great question.
positive change.
And leads us to some even more mind-bending concepts.
In our own lives and for future generations.
All right.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it
Awesome.
leads us to
Are you ready
some even more
to explore
mind-bending concepts.
the potential
Are you ready to explore the potential
of our identities to exist
of our identities and
beyond
our physical bodies?
beyond our physical bodies?
Have you ever heard of
Have you ever heard of
cellular memory?
cellular memory?
Cellular memory.
That sounds intriguing.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does.
I'm definitely ready to dive deeper.
All right,
Yeah, let's do it.
let's do it.
We were just talking about cellular memory.
Right.
The idea that cells might hold memories or personality traits
Yeah.
from their original owner.
Concept that's both fascinating
It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
and controversial.
Yeah.
Lipton uses this idea to explore the possibility
Okay.
that our identities might not be confined
Yeah.
to our physical bodies.
Someone who receives a heart transplant
He points to anecdotal accounts
might suddenly develop a love for a certain type of music
of organ transplant recipients
that the donor enjoyed.
experiencing changes in personality or preferences
Okay.
that seem to reflect the donor's characteristics.
Interesting.
So there are many anecdotal accounts.
Okay, so if our identities aren't solely bound
That suggests this possibility.
to our physical bodies,
While the scientific community is still debating
what does that mean for our understanding of death?
the validity of cellular memory,
Does Lipton suggest that
these stories raise intriguing questions
consciousness continues after the body dies?
about the nature of consciousness,
Okay.
the possibility that it might reside,
What does he think happens
at least in part outside the brain.
after we die?
Lipton proposes that our true selves exist
Okay.
as energetic signatures
It's just saying,
in the environment.
like some part of us
Remember his analogy
continues?
of the human body as a television set
Yeah.
receiving a broadcast?
Like an energetic signature or something?
He takes it a step further
Okay.
and suggests that this broadcast,
Okay.
our unique energetic signature,
Yeah.
might continue even after the physical body.
So almost like a radio wave.
The television set ceases to function,
Yeah.
so our essence,
It's out there.
our broadcast,
Even after the physical body is gone.
could potentially be picked up by another receiver
Wow.
in the future.
That's a mind-blowing concept.
That's the idea.
Yeah, it links
He suggests that if an embryo in the future
cellular memory
possesses the same set of identity receptors
with the idea of reincarnation.
as someone who has died,
It suggests a cyclical nature of consciousness.
it could potentially download the same energetic broadcast,
But even if we entertain this possibility,
essentially reincarnating the original identity.
what about the practical implications
That's a mind-blowing concept.
of these ideas for our lives right now? How can we use this knowledge
you really link
to create positive change?
cellular memory with the idea of reincarnation?
Okay.
Right, and that's a
I mean, it's all very interesting.
great question.
It to think about.
And it brings us back
But I'm wondering, like, how do we apply this
to the importance of awareness,
in our daily lives?
recognizing that our beliefs shape our reality,
Yeah.
can empower us to take more responsibility
So it's not just about thinking positive thought,
for our thoughts and feelings.
but about actively examining our beliefs
We can start to consciously cultivate beliefs
and identifying those that might be limiting us.
that support our well-being and growth.
But how do we actually change
Right.
deeply ingrained beliefs?
It's not just about thinking positive thoughts,
Especially those that stem from, like,
but about actively
negative experience.
examining our beliefs
Yeah.
and identifying those that might be limiting us.
That's a good question.
But how do we actually change,
But-
like, deeply ingrained beliefs?
How do you change something?
Especially those that stem from
So
negative
it's
experience.
not embedded in you?
It can be challenging,
Right.
but there are techniques that can help.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of PSYCHK?
PSYCHK?
PSYCHK.
No.
It's a system developed by Rob Williams
What is that?
that helps people rapidly change
Okay.
subconscious beliefs.
Okay.
It's based on the idea that
Yeah.
our subconscious minds are like computers, and we can use specific techniques
So it's kind of like updating
to reprogram them
the software of our mind.
with more positive and empowering beliefs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
I once witnessed a powerful demonstration of PSYCHK
So you've seen this in action.
at a conference.
Okay.
A woman with a debilitating fear of public speaking
Uh-huh.
volunteered to work with Rob Williams on stage.
Oh, wow.
She was terrified.
I can only imagine how nerve-wracking.
To even speak a few words, that must have been...
To the audience.
It was incredible to watch after about 10 minutes of using PSYCHK techniques.
Wow.
Her entire demeanor shifted.
Really?
She became calm, confident, and even excited to speak.
Wow.
She ended up talking for almost 5 minutes.
That's a huge shift.
And the audience was captivated by her transformation.
That's amazing.
It was remarkable.
So it sounds like PSYCHK.
It highlights the fact
that her access, that change can happen.
A different part of herself.
Much faster. One that wasn't dominated by fear.
Then we often believe our minds are incredibly malleable.
Yeah, like she was able to rewrite.
And when we use the right tools and techniques,
that program,
we can create profound shifts in our perceptions and behaviors.
Wow.
And this transformation, as Lipton's research suggests, can have a ripple effect.
So it really is all about changing
on our physical well-being as well.
That internal environment.
Exactly.
And then the cells will follow.
It all ties back to the idea that our cells are constantly responding to our internal environment.
It's amazing.
Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions.
How interconnected everything is.
If we can change that internal environment, our cells will respond accordingly.
And this is especially important when we consider the impact.
And this is especially important
of our beliefs on our children.
When we consider the impact of our beliefs.
We were talking about
conscious parenting earlier.
And how those early experiences.
Can
shape a child's subconscious mind. But it goes even deeper than that. Research has shown that the experiences of both parents during the months leading up to conception can actually influence the development of their child's genes. Wait, so the experiences of the parents
of their child's gene
before conception.
It's called genomic imprinting.
Can actually alter the genes.
Wait, so the experiences of the parents
they pass on to their children
before conception.
How does that work?
Can actually alter the genes.
Yeah.
They pass on to their children.
What's happening there?
How does that work?
Okay.
It's a fascinating area of study.
Okay.
Genomic imprinting means
interesting.
But the environment.
So it's like the environment is actually
can modify the activity
imprinting itself
of certain genes.
On the genes.
Without changing their basic structure.
Wow.
And these modifications can be passed down.
So, for example,
to future generations.
If a parent is experiencing chronic stress during that period.
If a parent is experiencing
could that potentially impact
chronic stress during that period?
Expression of genes.
Could that potentially impact
related to stress response?
The expression of genes.
Their child.
Related to stress response in their child.
Yeah.
That's what the research suggests.
That's why
it highlights the importance
of
preparing for parenthood.
So like preparing for parenthood,
not just physically,
is way more than
but also emotionally and mentally.
Just the physical act of it.
It's a responsibility.
Yeah.
It extends
it's like a whole
beyond the moment of conception.
Mind, body, spirit preparation.
Our beliefs and behaviors as parents. The way we interact with our children.
Yeah, it's like we're...
the messages we send them.
Stan.
Both consciously and unconsciously.
Imprinting our beliefs onto their subconscious minds.
All contribute to shaping their realities.
Yeah.
It's like we're
shaping their perception.
Constantly imprinting our beliefs.
Of themselves and the world.
Onto their subconscious minds.
But does that mean we're the same parent?
Shaping their perception.
To all of our children.
Of themselves and the world.
I mean.
What does that mean?
Surely we evolve as individuals.
We're the same parent to all of our children.
And our parenting style.
That's a great point.
Evolves.
Our life experiences, our knowledge, our emotional maturity.
What works for one kid.
All of these factors influence how we parent.
Yeah.
So it's highly unlikely.
And plus we're different people.
That will parent our second child.
At different stages in our lives.
In the exact same way.
Yeah.
We parented our first.
As we grow.
We're constantly learning and growing.
Alongside our children.
Learning and growing together.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Parenting is a dynamic process.
Yeah.
Not a static one.
Yeah, parenting is a journey.
And speaking of growth.
Not a destination.
We can't forget about the importance of physical touch.
Okay.
You mentioned that touch deprivation can actually hinder.
So how important is touch?
A child's development.
For development.
Yes, and not just hinder it.
Okay.
But potentially lead to...
Like, are we talking about
serious problems later in life.
Just
Studies have shown
the basic physical affection?
a correlation.
Or is this something deeper?
Between touch deprivation
Yeah.
and developmental delays.
Okay.
Social difficulties.
Okay.
And even aggressive behavior.
Wow.
It seems that the nurturing touch
So it's really a
from a parent is
crucial
crucial for a child's physical, emotional, and social well-being. Yeah, so hugs, cuddles, and physical affection
So hugs, cuddles, and physical affection
aren't just expressions of love.
aren't just expressions of love.
They're actually essential
They're actually essential for healthy development.
for healthy development.
It seems like we're designed for connection.
Yeah, we're designed
Both physically and emotionally.
for that connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Touch is a fundamental human need,
I've noticed that in some cultures,
just like food and shelter.
physical touch is much more
It helps regulate our nervous systems,
integrated into daily life.
reduces stress hormones,
Like parents carry their babies close.
and fosters a sense of safety and connection.
There's a lot of hugging and physical affection.
And you've hit on a key point.
Even among adults.
Research suggests
Yeah,
that cultures with a higher prevalence
just part of their
of physical touch
culture.
tend to be more peaceful.
Yeah.
And less violent.
Makes you wonder if our modern society,
It begs the question,
with its emphasis on independence
could increasing physical affection
and personal space,
in our families and communities
might be missing out on some of those
contribute to a more harmonious society?
crucial benefits of physical touch.
That's a fascinating idea.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
And it really does make you think about
So we've talked a lot about growth,
how we can create a more
but we haven't touched on the need for protection.
peaceful and loving world.
I understand keeping our kids safe from harm,
Right.
but what do you mean by protection
And it starts with us.
in a broader
It
sense?
starts at home.
Like, what are we protecting them from?
Right. And it all starts with us.
Okay.
Remember Lipton's discussion of the two fundamental survival mechanisms?
Right.
Growth and protection.
Okay.
He argues that cells
Okay.
can't be in both modes
Yeah.
at the same time.
When we perceive a threat,
They either have to
our bodies shift into protection mode,
open and receptive to growth
prioritizing survival over growth.
or close down
Makes
in a protective state.
Yeah.
And this principle applies to us as well.
Like our heart rate increases.
So when we perceive a threat,
Our breathing increases.
our bodies shift into protection mode,
And blood flow is diverted away
prioritizing survival over growth.
from our digestive and reproductive organs
Exact.
to our limbs,
Our heart rate and breathing increase.
preparing us to fight or flee.
Stress hormones flood our system,
Right.
and blood flow is diverted away from our
This is really useful
digestive and reproductive organs to our limbs,
in acute situations,
preparing us to fight or flee.
like when we're facing immediate danger.
This mechanism is incredibly useful
But the problem is
in acute situations,
that in modern society,
like when we're facing immediate
we're
danger.
constantly bombarded
But the problem is,
with stressors
in modern society,
that trigger
we're constantly bombarded with stressors
this protection response,
that trigger this protection response,
even when there's no real physical threat.
even when there's no real physical threat.
Yeah, like work deadlines.
You mean
Thank you.
traffic jams?
Like work deadlines.
Financial worries?
Traffic jams.
The everyday stresses?
Financial worries.
The everyday stresses of modern life.
Right, exactly. Our bodies
Our bodies haven't quite caught up
haven't quite caught up
to the demands.
and the demands of modern life. They still react to these everyday stressors.
It's like we're
Constantly in fight or flight mode.
life or death situations.
And that can't be good.
And when we're chronically stressed,
Right.
our bodies stay
So it's not just about reducing stress.
in a protective mode.
It's about understanding
Reducing
how our bodies respond to stress.
serious consequences
And learning to manage
for our
stress
health and well-being.
effectively.
It hinders our ability,
Like having tools to regulate,
our nervous system,
learn.
and connect.
But what about when we
So it's not just about reducing stress.
experience actual trauma?
It's about understanding how our bodies respond to stress
Or like significant challenges?
and learning to manage that response effectively.
How do we navigate those situations?
But what about when we or our children
Yeah.
experience actual trauma?
That's where things get a little more complicated.
Or significant challenges.
Yeah.
How do we navigate those situations?
It's early childhood experiences.
That's where things can get more complex.
That we were talking about.
Remember Lipton's explanation?
Or actually traumatic.
Of how early childhood experiences can program.
They can create deeply ingrained beliefs.
Our subconscious minds.
And behaviors.
Well, if those experiences...
That can be...
difficult to change.
They can create deeply ingrained beliefs and behaviors.
Right.
That can be difficult to change.
Because it's almost like they're...
So a child who grows up...
embedded in a chaotic or abusive environment...
in our subconscious.
...might develop a belief...
yeah.
...that the world is unsafe.
And those subconscious programs...
and that belief...
can operate...
could continue to influence their perceptions and behaviors...
outside of conscious awareness...
even into adulthood.
And lead to patterns of self-sabotage...
Precisely. These subconscious programs...
physical illness...
can operate outside of conscious awareness,
yeah,
leading to patterns of self-sabotage.
But there is hope, right?
Anxiety, or even physical illness.
Like even deeply ingrained patterns can be changed.
To be changed.
With the right support and guidance.
With the right support and guidance.
It's reassuring.
That's reassuring.
Because...
but how is that possible?
It's easy to feel stuck.
If these patterns are embedded in our subconscious.
How do we change something?
There are therapeutic modalities.
That's so ingrained.
Like EMDR,
okay,
eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and somatic experiencing,
okay,
that are specifically designed to help people heal from trauma.
So there are ways
and
reprogram
those neural pathways. They help to process traumatic memories.
So it's like
and reframe the associated beliefs.
Rewiring the brain.
Ultimately leading to a greater sense of safety and well-being.
That's encouraging.
So it's like rewiring of the brain.
To know that even
and
those
like rewiring the brain
who have experienced significant trauma
it's encouraging to know
have the potential for healing.
That even those who have experienced significant trauma
and transformation
have the potential for healing and transformation.
And it speaks to
the incredible plasticity of our brain.
Of our brains.
We're not stuck
with the programming.
Stuck with that programming.
We received in childhood. We have the power to rewrite our stories.
We have the power to rewrite our stories.
And create new, more empowering beliefs.
More empowering beliefs.
This whole conversation underscores the profound influence.
This entire conversation underscores
of our minds on our reality.
The profound influence of our minds on our reality.
It's a paradigm shift.
The
recognition that we're not just passive recipients.
A recognition that we're not just
of our experiences.
Passive recipients of our experiences.
But active participants in shaping them. It's a whole different way of looking at things.
In shaping them.
Yeah.
It's a whole different way.
Once you grasp this concept.
But looking at things.
It's hard to go back. Seeing the world through the same lens.
Once you grasp this concept. It's hard to go back to seeing the world through the same lens.
What has been the most impactful insight?
I know what you mean.
For you personally.
It's incredibly empowering.
Exploring these ideas.
It makes me wonder, what has been the most impactful insight for you personally?
What's been your biggest takeaway?
In exploring these ideas.
From all this?
For me, it's the realization that we're not victims of our genes. Or our circumstances.
We have a lot more power than we realize.
We have much more power than we often realize to shape our realities.
To empower.
And create the lives.
That's a powerful message.
If hope and empowering.
It's empowering.
Yeah. It reminds us that we're all co-creators of our own lives.
It's a powerful message.
And the world we live in.
Of hope and empowerment.
Yeah.
But reminds us.
With great power.
That we're all co-creators.
Comes great responsibility.
Of our own lives. And the world we live in.
Because
there's great power.
The choices we make.
Comes great responsibility.
The beliefs we hold. The actions we take.
Because the choices we make.
They all have an impact. The beliefs we hold.
Both on ourselves.
The actions we take.
And on the world around us.
They all have an impact. Both on ourselves.
So we have to be mindful.
And on the world around us.
Of how we're using that power. We'll have to be mindful.
And that brings us to another fascinating topic.
Of how we're using that power.
The connection.
And that brings us
between our physical bodies.
Another fascinating topic.
And our spiritual selves.
The connection between our physical bodies.
The mind-body spirit.
And our spiritual self.
A mind-body spirit.
That's a big one.
Connection.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
I mean, how do we
even to wrap our minds around that.
Where science and spirituality
where we even start
often intersect.
Okay.
Do you remember Lipton's discussion?
Do you remember when Lipton talked about
of energy and the quantum universe?
Energy in the quantum universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
He talked about
how matter isn't.
Matter isn't as solid
as we perceive it to be.
As we perceive it to be.
At the atomic level.
At the atomic level.
Everything is made up of energy.
It's all energy.
It's constantly vibrating and interacting.
Yeah.
It's a concept.
Constantly vibrating and interacting.
Spiritual traditions.
It's a concept that many spiritual traditions have been teaching for centuries. Right. So it's not a new idea.
Many spiritual traditions.
But science is just starting to
view the physical body as a temporary vessel for our eternal souls or spirits.
So our bodies are incredible vehicles.
It's not that our bodies are unimportant.
That allow us.
It's just that
here's the whole story.
This physical reality.
Our bodies are incredible vehicles.
But they're not the essence of who we are.
That allow us to experience
our true nature.
This physical reality
is spiritual.
But they're not.
And our connection to that, the essence.
Spiritual essence.
Of who we are.
Is what gives our lives.
Our true nature is spiritual.
Meaning and purpose.
And our connection.
Okay.
To that spiritual essence.
So how do we cultivate that connection?
Is what gives our lives.
But how do we connect?
To that spiritual side.
So how do we
cultivate that
connection?
How do we do that?
There are many paths.
Okay.
To spiritual growth.
All right.
From meditation and prayer.
Okay.
To spending time in nature.
Okay.
And engaging.
So it's different for everyone.
In acts of service.
Yeah.
The key.
It's about finding what works for you.
Is to be open to exploring different perspectives.
Yeah.
And to trust
your intuition.
Your intuition.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's about honoring.
About adhering to a specific.
It resides within each of us.
Religion or dogma.
Yeah.
It's about.
And recognizing that we're all interconnected.
Finding practices. Part of something much larger than ourselves.
That resonate.
That brings to mind.
With
the concept of collective consciousness.
Individual souls.
Yeah.
That's about honoring the wisdom.
The idea that our thoughts and feelings
resides within each of us.
Can actually influence.
And recognizing that we're all interconnected.
The world around us.
Part of something much larger than ourselves.
Or energy.
And that brings to mind
the
concept of collective consciousness.
So if we want to create
a
more peaceful and loving world.
That our thoughts and feelings.
We need to start.
Can actually influence the world around us.
By cultivating.
That's a powerful concept.
Those qualities.
And it ties back.
In ourselves.
To what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
About the power of beliefs.
And inspiring others to do the same.
If enough people.
Yeah.
Hold a particular belief.
Because we have the potential to create.
The reality we experience.
A ripple effect.
So if we want to create.
Positive change.
A more peaceful and loving world.
Simply by shifting.
We need to start by cultivating.
Our own beliefs.
Those qualities within ourselves.
And actions.
And inspiring others to do the same.
This deep dive has been.
I have the potential.
Incredibly expert. Okay. You were about to explain fractal evolution.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty complex.
It might sound intimidating.
Okay.
But the core idea is actually quite simple.
Right.
Imagine the pattern of a fern leaf.
Okay.
Each smaller leaflet within the frond.
Okay.
Mirrors the shape of the larger leaf.
Okay.
Fractal geometry is all about
I see.
These self-similar patterns.
Yeah.
Repeating at different scales.
Okay.
You see it everywhere in nature. From snowflakes to coastlines to the branching of trees.
Okay, so the same pattern.
Okay.
So repeating over and over again?
Pattern repeating over and over.
But at different sizes.
But
how does this concept apply to evolution?
Fractal evolution suggests that evolution itself unfolds.
So instead of evolution being this,
in these repeating patterns,
chaotic scramble for survival,
just as the pattern of a fern leaf repeats,
it's actually guided
within each leaflet
by these underlying patterns.
Patterns of evolution might repeat.
Like there's a hidden blueprint or something?
At different scales.
Yeah.
From the emergence of new species to the development of entire ecosystems.
So evolution has a plan.
It challenges the idea that evolution is purely random.
Interesting.
And suggests a deeper level of order and interconnectedness.
So those mass extinction events...
So instead of evolution being...
I'd have punctuated Earth's history.
A chaotic scramble for survival.
Like the extinction of the dinosaurs.
It's actually guided by these underlying patterns.
Well, it's devastating.
It's more like...
Paved the way.
A set of principles.
For the emergence of new species.
That govern the process.
And new ecosystems.
Think about the mass extinction events.
Yeah.
That have punctuated Earth's history.
So those periods of upheaval.
Like the extinction of the dinosaurs.
And transformations aren't just random occurrences.
How devastating.
They're part of a larger pattern.
Pave the way.
Of growth and evolution.
To the emergence.
So the challenges we face today.
Of new species and new ecosystems.
Climate change.
Fractal evolution suggests.
Social unrest.
That these periods of upheaval and transformation,
technological disruption,
are not just random occurrences.
Could be seen as
part of a larger pattern.
With a similar evolutionary process.
Of growth and evolution.
Pushing us towards...
But the challenges we face today.
A new level of consciousness.
Climate change.
Yeah.
Social unrest.
Yeah.
Technological disruption.
Yeah.
Could be seen.
It's like we're being forced.
As part of a similar evolutionary process.
Right.
Pushing us...
As a species.
Towards a new level of consciousness.
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
These challenges, while daunting...
Where we're headed.
Could be seen.
Yeah, like what's...
As opportunities for growth and transformation.
Of all this.
They're forcing us to reevaluate our values, our priorities, and our relationship to the planet.
Oh, so if evolution follows these repeating patterns...
That we're not just...
Can we predict where it's headed?
At the mercy of random events...
Can fractal evolution...
But active participants...
Offer insights...
In an unfolding process...
Into the future of humanity.
But if evolution follows these repeating patterns...
That's a good question.
Can we predict where it's headed?
Yeah.
Can fractal evolution...
Back to us.
Offer insights into the future of humanity?
About the future.
That's where things get a little more speculative.
Okay.
Fractal evolution.
So we can't know for sure.
Doesn't give us a precise roadmap.
Right.
But it can offer...
But it gives us
some intriguing possibilities.
Some clues.
It suggests that the future of humanity is not predetermined.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure.
But rather a field of potential.
So our beliefs and actions today...
Shaped by our choices and actions.
Could influence?
So our beliefs and actions today...
The trajectory of human evolution.
Could influence the trajectory of human evolution.
Right.
That's a powerful thought.
That's powerful.
It really highlights the importance.
Yeah, it really is.
Of conscious evolution.
It's like we're all...
The idea that we can actively participate.
Contributing to the story.
In shaping the future.
Of human evolution.
We can choose to embrace...
The
challenges we face.
And it's not just...
As opportunities for growth.
Our own individual evolution.
To cultivate compassion and cooperation.
The evolution of humanity as a whole.
Our actions... with our highest values.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It's about recognizing
it's given me
that we're not just individual actors on the stage of life.
A whole new perspective.
But interconnected threads.
On the power of belief.
In the tapestry.
And the profound impact.
Of human evolution.
We can have on the world around us.
Exactly.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge.
And that brings us back.
It's about empowering ourselves.
To the importance of the mind-body-spirit connection.
And future generations.
If we want to create a future.
You'll live more fulfilling.
That's both sustainable and fulfilling.
And meaningful lives.
We need to nourish.
It's been a pleasure.
Not just our physical bodies.
Sharing this journey with you.
But also our minds and spirits.
And we hope.
So it's about finding balance.
It sparked a sense.
Between growth and protection.
Of wonder and possibility.
Between individual needs.
For you, our listener.
And collective responsibility.
Remember, you have the power to choose your beliefs.
Between our physical, mental.
To shape your reality.
And spiritual well-being.
And to contribute.
It's a lifelong journey.
To the unfolding story.
Of exploration and discovery.
Of human evolution.
And it all starts with awareness.
Thank you for joining us.
By becoming more aware of our beliefs.
On this deep dive.
Our thoughts and our feelings.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections.
We can begin to make choices.
Share your insights.
That align with our highest potential.
And continue the conversation.
And contribute to a more harmonious.
On our social media platforms.
And fulfilling future.
Until next time.
For ourselves and for humanity as a whole.
Keep diving deep.